G'day viewers, how you doing? This is just a quick tutorial on loading on Horseshoe Curve. So initially you'd think this train's got slow speed control, so you'd use that. Unfortunately, you can't, because when checking the ES44 manual, this beastie, I discovered that you can only use slow speed control if you've got less than 15 cars. We've got a bit more than that. It's okay. We can do it with manual. So as you can see, I started off, we're on a pretty steep grade, so I gave it a couple of notches to get going, and then I dropped us back to 1, which is starting to slow down a little bit. So we'll give it another one briefly. I'm going to use the keyboard for this because I'm going to come outside the train. So you can do that still with your controller with the throttle up and throttle down buttons. Keep your eye on the speed using the HUD. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Because you want to keep your speed as you come under the loader somewhere pretty close to 3 miles an hour. It doesn't have to be exact. And you want to make sure that you fill each of the cars to 100%. So the gradient's quite happily dropping our speed down. By the time these 3 locos come through, we'll be down to 3 miles an hour. See, it's recognised the train, so it's starting the loading process. The only reason I sit out here outside the train when this happens is partly because I trust the track behind me is empty, and also I want to see the percentage markers to see how well I'm going at filling, because if I'm going too fast or going too slow, it won't fill properly. Now we're going to have to juggle the throttle ourselves. You can tell we're starting to slow down again, so give it a little bit of power, back up a notch 2. As you're approaching 3 miles an hour, drop it off again. Now, as the train fills up, we'll gradually have to give it a little bit more power because it's pulling up a 1.2% grade. There we go, we're starting to load. Loading things in TSW always red, even if the load's grey. You ever noticed that? Almost down to 2 miles an hour, so I've just notched up again. Notice that's not exactly having an immediate impact though, because the train is getting heavier. So I'm keeping it in 2 a little bit longer. We're still loading very effectively. Alright, we're approaching 3, so I've knocked it back to 1 again. Now I'm just using the A and D keys on my keyboard. If you're using a controller, it's the up and down arrows. Train's getting heavier, so I'm coming up to notch 3 now. You're going to keep an eye on that because it picks up very quickly. So you just want to keep your speed 2.5 up to about 3. The notch 2's not quite cutting it anymore. I'm probably going to have to juggle 2 and 3 now. Now it's getting a little over 3 there. 3.5 probably still okay. Just watch the percentage fill. Because if you don't fill it, guess what? You've got to come back. It's boring, isn't it? So you just keep an eye on the speed with the HUD. Keep juggling. Doing fine so far. I think you get the idea now. I'm not going to do anything else that's different, so if you wanted to stop watching at this point, you're welcome to. Or you can just sit here and watch me finish loading up this train. Because I'm stubborn, I will. I kind of like loading, it's sort of relaxing. Notice we got right to the end of the car that time. I was almost going too quick. Sooner or later we'll get to an equilibrium point where we'll nick back and forth between 2 and 3 rather than 1 and 3. As the train gets heavier. Really happy to have some loading services in Horseshoe. It shows one of the things that Skyhook picked up from Cane Creek is that the community loves a loading service, so we've got him this time. Yay. If I had to guess, I'd say we're about halfway through this train now. You may have noticed that using notch 3, not as quick as it was before at bringing the speed up. Getting a little heavier. Might even have to go to notch 4 soon. We'll see how we go. There's not much of the train left. When you come to play this service, you'll discover this is only half the train and you had to uncouple them. And you get 2 runs at this one. It's actually a quite complex pair of services, 651-1 and 651-2. Because you have to take your train apart and you've got to fill it up and you've got to put this part in the siding and go and get the other part and fill that up and put your locomotives on, and yeah, it's good fun. Only 5 to go now and then we'll be done. The service continues on a bit because you've got to go and park the thing, but we'll stop when we finish loading. You notice I've had to go up to notch 4 now because it's getting pretty heavy. Two to go. You can see there's a progress indicator up in the top left there. Doesn't really matter on this route because you can see the whole train, but some of the loading things, like on Clinchfield, they're on curves and you can't see it all, so it's kind of handy to know where you're up to. Alright, I've notched back to 0 because we're actually going to stop in a tick. Nope, not for another 65 yards though. But anyway, that's all I wanted to show you. We're starting to roll backwards. Jump in the cab. Are we picking up again? No. Alright, minimum reduction on the brakes. Throttle off. That'll bring us to a stop. Okay. Well, apart from starting to rolling away on you, That's all I really wanted to show you on this tutorial, so there you go. That's loading. It's pretty simple stuff. See you later. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I always like to get your feedback in the form of likes and comments because they help me understand what you want. Give the channel a subscribe and click on the tinkly things so you don't miss out on any new stuff. And thanks for your ongoing support. And please, be safe out there.